do we think about bringing advertising into these experiences in a way that is good for
Yeah.
customers and not, sort of the historical crazy Eddie, that
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. Customers might be having a conversation with commercial intent. Not they, of course, aren't thinking commercial
Sure.
intent, but on behalf of advertisers, she can also not just like kind of prompt me for something I might not have been thinking about, but actually surface products that are relevant to me. Nobody wants to be left behind. And the next question is, okay, but how? Really, the best way that you can drive a strong outcome for an advertiser is to build an experience that works for all of us as customers. And if you just work from there, it kind of writes itself.
So we're here in the sunny French Riviera in Cannes, the Lines Festival, and I'm very excited today to have with us Charlotte Maines, the Vice President of Devices, Content, and Advertising. We have a fun topic, an exciting one, with some big announcements this week coming out of Amazon in your department. So thank you first for joining us. And the topic today, we're going to be diving into a few areas, but overall, we're moving away from this search-based way of experiencing commerce, right? The advancement of AI, with agentic AI and things of that nature, brands are beginning to connect with consumers in a much different way. And you guys are really spearheading that effort. So I guess first thing I wanted to start with on Ad Tech Heroes is you talk a little about who you are, where you came from. So why don't we start off? I'll do less talking for this part. Tell us a little bit about your experience. How'd you get here? What excites you? What you're doing right now?
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for the time. So great to see you. Yeah, I've been at Amazon about 13 years, and before that, I had a couple of different careers, but ultimately went to business school and then came to Amazon. And I've had the opportunity. Amazon has sort of in our DNA is this idea of kind of taking on different roles within the company, so you can really just kind of experience new things, and also, when you want to scratch an itch and try something new or learn something new, you can do that. And so my first job actually when I joined was launching the first Fire TV back in 2014, sold the first device. We've now sold over 300 million globally,
That's the
which
size of
is
the
is not
U.S.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not it's the magnitude of Amazon, not the magnitude of me, but I'll take a little bit of credit.
Own it, take it. I
Yeah,
like it.
right?
Yeah,
And
of course.
so, anyway, so I started grew the Fire TV business, launched it internationally, worked on a couple of other programs, and had the opportunity. I was asked to come back to Fire TV, gosh, like 6 years ago now, but to actually help grow advertising on Fire TV. So it was like, the angle there is here at Con, there's a lot of conversation about advertising, advertisers, the customers, the advertiser, et cetera, which is of course true. But the angle that I bring to it is that when you think about Fire TV, and over time, I also am looking after Alexa, looking after tablet. These are first and foremost devices in customers' homes.
Yeah.
So, customers have really high trust in Amazon that, whether it's the giant box on their living room wall, the Alexas in their kitchen, where they're in the intimate environment of cooking and hanging out with their family, they really trust us to deliver great experiences. And I had lived that as a product manager for Fire TV. So it was like, how do we think about bringing advertising into these experiences in a way that is good for
Yeah.
customers and not, sort of the historical crazy Eddie, that kind of thing. Right. And so that was the perspective that I was able to bring to sort of build the foundation of this business. And over the last amount of years, again, looking after more devices, really building out more experiences, both within kind of the user experience, as well as, of course, audio ads or
Right.
streaming TV ads, that kind of thing. Always with the lens of we'll be able to deliver great outcomes for advertisers if we deliver great experiences for
Totally.
customers.
Yeah. And I think what's great about that, like you were describing, is in that moment, you're the customer as well, right? You're engaging with these devices around your home. So I guess that gives you a lens and a perspective that's really advantageous to how you think about how does this then lend itself to other customers, to brands, and things of that nature. So I think one area we were talking about the topic of today prior to our meeting today. How is agentic commerce coming to life? How are the way that consumers are engaging with these devices around the home, how's that changing their perspective and the way that they're searching for products? Keyword search has kind of gone by the way of or going the way of the dinosaur. So how does that fundamentally change the relationship between the consumer and the brand? And what does that mean for advertisers? How do they show up now with this new technology, with this new way of consumer interaction?
Yeah, no, there is a lot packed into that question, I will
Yes.
tell you
Sorry for
that.
making it so dense,
I'm like,
so
"Wait a minute, let's,
verbose.
no,
Yeah.
let's see where to start." So I think, maybe a place to start is that Amazon's been using and delivering and working in AI for years, right? Like Alexa herself is an LLM and has
It's like
been.
one of the first
Yeah,
unicorns
exactly,
to really come out
exactly.
there, right? Yeah.
And so, this is AI is part of how we just continue to evolve our customer experiences so that, for example, when you conduct a search for entertainment on Fire TV or Alexa, you're going to get both the best results, but results that are personalized to you,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So there's a foundation there that just kind of as in the last year, couple of years, as AI has just become so much more powerful and supercharged, we had this great foundation that it's like, oh wow, now we can just do so much more for
Sure.
customers on sort of this infrastructure that we already had. And so I think, like, to just start with number one, well, Alexa Plus, right? And Alexa Plus is not limited to Echo devices. Alexa Plus is our agent, our agentic AI, or AI assistant, present across all of our devices, and now in Alexa for shopping and the shopping experience, etc. And again, that is just about how customers can deeply engage with Alexa, to solve an immediate need, or to have a conversation like with any AI agent. So I think, as an example, like on Fire TV, Alexa Plus tends to be used more for, again, those entertainment searches, right? And like really getting into, there was a movie I saw once and I can't really remember it, but I loved it. And I think it had a guy from whatever. In the
I
past,
didn't
that would have
notice it.
been like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, here's some results,
So cool. Yeah.
most of which are going to be right,
Right.
and so it's like just this unlock in terms of better customer experiences. But then getting into, sort of the whole agentic AI, how we're allowing advertisers to connect in
Yeah.
these new experiences, that is kind of the next topic,
Yep.
which I can
Let's
seg
let's
into.
jump into that. I
Okay.
love that. I love the seamlessness of the way the devices understand the consumer in the
Yeah.
home. Um, and to your point, to my understanding, the way that Alexa is using data is through all the properties, right? Even throughout IMDb, so your description right there is not just knowing you and what you're engaging with in entertainment, but knowing where to reference that point across your ecosystem, which is advantageous to any brand marketer. So let's jump into that. So how does the brand show up? How do they, include their products in that seamless
Mhm.
interaction with consumers?
Yeah, certainly. So that's right. The way that we are, the opportunity we have as Amazon is that we are leveraging literally the trillions of first party signals that we have that are not just shopping. It's streaming, it's browsing, it's IMDb, to your point. Like, there is so much that we can understand just to create a better, more personalized experience for you. And again, in such a more powerful way with LLMs. You couldn't use all of that data per
Yeah.
se 5 years ago, even if you
Be so
had it.
fragmented at
But
that point.
now, yeah, exactly. Now, so just a core use case, again, to go back to kind of Alexa Plus on Fire TV. Well, our entertainment advertisers who are already advertising on Fire TV can now insert themselves in these search experiences, because we have like, if you have the example I provided, the thing on the the guy, and I don't really remember, and some search results come back, those are search results powered by Amazon. And because we have sponsored brands and sponsored products and just offer ad products already today that show up in our LLM powered results, then some of those search results will be
It's just
sponsored.
organic at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
And it's completely relevant. So it's not like, oh, here's the results you wanted that are organic, and here's a sponsored ad for the Smurfs. No,
Right.
it's the results that would have been returned anyway,
Right.
of which some may be sponsored. And I think, and that's a use case that maybe sounds familiar or seems fairly straightforward. I mean, I guarantee you it's not straightforward,
Yeah.
kind of
No.
knowing what
It's
goes under the
lots of
under the
yeah.
hood. But I mean, that seems reasonable for Fire TV. But then take a step back, kind of to the core of your question, how do how does any advertiser participate in this new, kind of conversational commerce, this agentic? And so that's where Alexa Plus comes into play. And Alexa Plus is it's an LLM assistant. So customers are having any conversation with Alexa at this point. Historically it was more of the turn off the lights, what's the weather, play my favorite song, but now it's a back and forth.
It's almost like utilitarian back then.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's deeply engaging. I mean, customers are having, we have the stats, but like, you know, number of turns in every conversation, asking for 5 times the recipes that they were before, making 3 times the purchases that they were before with traditional Alexa. And so in these conversations, two things. One is you can imagine that customers might be having a conversation with commercial intent. Not they, of course, aren't thinking commercial intent, but on behalf of advertisers. So it might be, it's Sunday night. You're like figuring out your plan for the weather. You're going back and forth with Alexa. She's got the to-do list. She's of course integrated with your calendar, so she's helping you. Here's the days the kids have the things, and she's like, hey, by the way, like there's clearly a cold front coming through because it's going to get really cold. Middle of the week. Like keep that in mind. And then like where that can evolve to is that it's like, oh right, like I realized like there's a few things that I ran out of when it was cold last time, and then Alexa can proactively do something like surface like a moisturizer for me. And it's not just that. Like it's not that she can just do that without, me saying like I am now searching for a moisturizer for dry skin. She can also surface the right results because again, she knows who I am. I'm a logged in Amazon customer. She knows what I bought before. She knows what reviews I've left. She knows what I might be running out of. And so she can also not just like kind of prompt me for something I might not have been thinking about, but actually surface products that are relevant to me, of which some can be sponsored because that's an ad unit that we offer today. And so, absolutely brands can insert themselves in these experiences customers are
And
having.
it feels like you said fluid, right? It's not, we say sponsored ad and stuff like that, but it'll never show up in a way that feels inorganic or untrustworthy, right? The way that you're doing it is very much to your point. Getting to this endpoint, you need to know exactly what the consumer cares about. And having that access point, I think, is really imperative to the process. I think what's interesting, the word you used, conversational commerce. I honestly haven't heard it often or at all until recently. Yeah. And I'd love to you expand a little bit more about how you guys are seeing the adoption of this kind of approach, right? Because obviously you have people who have Alexa and they're comfortable, like you said earlier, interacting with it certain ways, but now they're moving even forward. So how are you guys looking at it in a way to further that adoption so the brands can enter the conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of the good news is for advertisers who already make buys in sponsored prompts, sponsored brands, etc., we just automatically just unlock this additional supply. It like you don't have to make a special buy. You don't have to be like, oh, I would like this to run in Alexa Plus conversations. It just happens. And obviously on the cost basis, like if it performs, great. And if but it does, right? I don't know the exact numbers, but in terms of engagement with sponsored versus organic results, I think it's like the same because again, it's an experience that you're expecting. It's search results. And so in terms of advertisers, like good news, you just kind of get this as part of your buy, the products that we offer today. And then as customers, in terms of your point about continuing to drive engagement, sort of this conversational commerce, if you will, is that this is where because Alexa Plus offer you can talk to her about anything, we are literally opening up brand new categories as well. So it's like, first of all, there's more opportunities for conversation to bring up more topics and more, existing advertisers can participate in those. And it happens without them having to, do something incremental. It just happens for them. But then then there's all the other use cases. Like, I don't, just imagine how you use your LLM of choice. You're talking about travel, you're talking about what you're doing this weekend, you're talking
Right.
about like,
And it's that discovery that's so imperative to the equation. And I think one of the questions we had later on, I'm just going to bring it forward now, is how to challenge your brands that are just coming to light. How did they become discoverable? And I think you're describing that here, right? Where it's, the LLM is learning about you and then ultimately making suggestions on your behalf, but knowing at the core of like who you are as a consumer and who you are as an audience. So Challenger brand A comes into the mix, um, and they don't have the larger footprint from say a CPG. Is it as organic for them to or as seamless for them to just flow into that space? Because you're saying it's just part of the overall arching
yeah,
ecosystem there, right?
exactly. So the products that we announced earlier this year around Alexa for shopping, then yeah, any brand that is making a buy, which it's self-service. You can make as small or large of a buy as you want. So you actually don't have to do anything new to participate in this new kind of engagement as a brand. And I mean that is truly game changing in the industry
Yeah.
because a lot of these experiences you're not able to participate in this new form of engagement as an advertiser because it just literally doesn't, the way to do that doesn't exist. But it does
As
on
you're
Amazon.
taking a bold step forward. I mean, I think Amazon's always been about that, right? So you guys know custom first, but also taking those innovative leaps. This is really exciting and interesting to hear.
Well, and speaking of innovation and taking innovative leaps, we announced just today a brand new product in this space. So what I've been describing is more of like, what you might expect Amazon to offer, and just ensuring that we're helping advertisers take our existing products and participate in the LLM agentic AI engagement. But today we announced new Alexa Plus agentic ads. And this is a first in the industry. And this is a way for advertisers to participate in those conversations outside, inclusive of and outside of traditional shopping. And what is unique about it is that this is an opportunity for customers to go all the way from seeing an ad unit to completing a transaction without ever leaving the conversation with Alexa Plus.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah. So it's been a long week. It's Friday night. You're in your kitchen, your Echo Show has an ad on it. Would you like to order pizza in? Absolutely, I would like to order pizza in, as I don't wanna give it another thought to what I'm, and so I say, "Yes, yes, please." And now I'm just having a conversation with Alexa. I'm not picking up my phone. I don't have to follow some steps of an ad. I'm just, literally like, I do want pizza. How many? What size? Like Hawaiian tonight, whatever. I'm having the conversation, and by the end of it, the pizzas are in my cart, ordered, and on their way to my doorstep. And it all happened within basically as long as it took me to decide what I wanted. And you're done. And so it's awesome for customers because again, no phones, no QR codes, no like happy golden path
No friction, right?
utterances,
You're getting
no
yeah.
friction. It's literally the conversation you might have been having with Alexa anyway about what you were going to be doing for dinner that night, right? And then, oh my God, no, I'm not going to cook something. Well, good news. But then it's also fantastic for advertisers because this is a way not only to just gain awareness and be visible at a moment where a customer is ready to engage with something like that. Like we knew it was Friday night when we served that pizza order in ad, right? But then it's also beyond the awareness and the opportunity and just, the overall goodness that an advertiser gets from that, a purchase can be completed
Totally.
like completely. So,
Close that loop.
yeah.
And also, I think it's interesting because you can then control, that's the wrong word to use here, but understand like the appropriate frequency as well. Let's say like a pizza brand, you're already recognizing this particular consumer just had pizza last Friday. Maybe you don't want to hit them again. You don't want to be exposed to them again 2 days later when they're, talking or having a conversation about what am I going to eat tonight, right? You don't want to insert yourself in a way that again goes back to not feeling organic. So that's interesting. Well, that's really powerful. I love that. You guys just announced that this week.
We announced it literally this morning. Well, happy Prime Day, right?
Happy Prime Day. Let's go. I love it. So I know we're talking a little bit more. Let's dive into the creative piece of it. So, we talked about brands showing up in this space. How are you guys educating brands to get involved? Like, what are the things that like the 1, 2, 3s, the ABCs that are starting to get them invested in this area for you?
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost a little bit of a how do I manage all of the interest? Because everybody, I think what we're seeing is that everybody knows how important this is. Everybody sees the opportunity and wants to get involved and wants to figure out, how to put their best foot forward in. And when I say this, AI, the 15 things it could mean, specifically kind of agentic commerce, right? And so, nobody wants to be left behind. And the next question is, okay, but how? And I don't know, I mean, I'm certainly not commenting on others in the industry, but I mean, when I just think about who would you trust and who would you assume is going to give you a door to that, it would be Amazon because of what we offer in shopping based on our decades of building a great shopping experience, what we, have been able to do in advertising based on our decades of building a great, ad stack and ad services, et cetera. And so obviously we're going to bring those together with the power of AI. And so customers are coming to us, what do you have? How can I participate? And then it becomes, well, here's how we can, here's how it can work best for you or your needs. Or, if you're talking to an agency, obviously that's different than a challenger brand. But then it's so great for me because speaking of understanding the customer, the advertiser customer, having these conversations like along the Croissant this week, where you just kind of hear very specifically what they're looking for and what they want. Because I mean, it is truly day one. I mean, literally, I just
Interesting.
announced this product today and I've got a handful of beta partners.
And that's great. Yeah, yeah, I'd love to hear more about the beta
Yeah.
partners. So you guys are getting that continual
Right.
feedback
Like
loop from the
what's our,
jump.
what's our
Right.
road? Like there's no doubt we're going to continue to innovate here as Amazon. We are well equipped to do that.
Yeah.
And so, what is the roadmap and what's the priority? And hearing from advertiser customers, what are the pain points we can solve first? Because, there's just so much power now, both in the foundation, the infrastructure, and the customer base and all of that. But then now just pour the AI on it. And it's like, whoa.
Superpowers in there.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit? Can you share? I know it might be tight lipped, but anything you could share about beta partners involved? Like you don't have to get into particular brands if you're not comfortable, but what's that experience been like? Obviously the excitement's there. Um, just any through line there. I'd love to hear
Yeah,
about
yeah. Well, I think the macro, sort of the macro thread here is that these are advertisers who don't historically advertise on Amazon. And it is because we are creating new engagement patterns with Alexa Plus that could literally be anything. That's why I was saying travel, things to do, all of this. Like you're like, oh, would travel historically advertise on Amazon? Like probably not, right?
probably
Like,
not.
Delta.
More difficult environment for you
Yeah, I mean,
previously, but now
uh,
it's yeah.
right, for an awareness play, like a streaming TV commercial, sure, but, not kind of a traditional shopping, and so, now it's like, well, but there are conversations happening on Alexa Plus about travel, and those brands wanna be part of that, and so what, the all of the partners that we are partnering with, and I can share the names, and I will, are those new experiences, so again, the pizza ordering, Papa John's is a beta partner,
Oh,
um, concert tickets. That is an experience where you can see an advertisement for Jill Smith, and within X amount of seconds, you have those tickets in your Ticketmaster account. And by the way, they're the tickets you want, whether you wanted the nosebleeds or you wanted the front row and how many and all of that. Like it's you that's the conversation you have because it's an LLM. It's just your assistant. But then the sweetener or the sweet spot is that the transaction occurs. It wasn't just like, oh, now I've researched and now I have to go to my phone and remember to do it. And oh my God, what's my Ticketmaster login and yada yada. It's like it was done.
so you're literally getting the consumer across the entire funnel
Yeah.
line. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
really great. And honestly, the way you just described that, I would love that because I'm constantly feeling like my concert ticket purchase behavior is very fragmented and I always kind of lose the flow and lose what I was, searching for. So I appreciate that sentiment there. And it really does feel like the future is here now. We were growing up in this industry and you're hearing a lot about the power of LLMs just a few years ago, right? We're really seeing that interconnectivity between human behavior, consumer behavior, and the play against, play with AI, which is
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing or hearing in the market. Everyone's talking about AI,
Right.
but the practical use case and the implicate and the application of it, I think is really interesting here. So, kind of bookending the conversation a little bit, creative is paramount to this experience, right? So, can you talk a little about, what does the role of creative and messaging play here? How does it change? How have you guys thought about that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's another thing where, being Amazon, we have so many teams that are just obsessing with what are all the things we need to do to make these great customer experiences and these great advertisers experiences. So obviously, we have an entire team, a giant team working on it. I think it's literally called Creative X, working on how do we use AI to make it easier for advertisers to get through some of the things that are just historically blocking and tackling operational that take a really long time and just use AI so that it's but what we don't want to touch is for any advertiser that wants to maintain a hold on creative, please. But it's like you focus on the creative and then we'll take that whatever and then we will run it through our creative AI powered gonculator and spit out an asset that can run on Fire TV. It can run on Alexa. It can run in stores. We can even create stills from video and vice versa for streaming TV ads. Audio, we can create audio ads, full production ready audio ads just from one product listing. So these are the kind of things where we're just like, how do we are building and creating things so that, advertisers can participate in these new consumer behaviors that are happening with AI. And then, to your point, okay, so then great, great, good for you, Amazon. But now, how do you actually make it easier so that that participation can occur? And then that's the unlock around all of our prioritization of using AI for the behind the scenes.
So creative iteration.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
a superpower in that sense, sir.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So I guess my last question before we kind of end things is, we talk a little bit about ad tech heroes. It very much is about the person, not just, what they care about, what they do. And one of the questions we like to ask is, if you had a superpower in our space, what would it be? How would you describe that? Now, I got to know you a little bit yesterday, and one of the things that I thought was so powerful, and you strike me as someone who just enjoys what they do. You care about the brand partners you have. You care about the consumer experience, or you wouldn't be at Amazon. You've run how many marathons? I think you said
46.
46 marathons, which is astronomical. I love that fact. But so outside of those being your superpower, like tell me, like what would be your ad tech your
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit it on the head with the what I have discovered is that you really do really the best way that you can drive a strong outcome for an advertiser is to build an experience that works for all of us as customers. You said it at the beginning. Like we all on, this weekend or whenever we're home, we're going to get on our couch, pick up our remote, hopefully with our family, hopefully in a chill moment, and try and figure out what to watch. Right. And like, so we are all customers of our product. And in that situation, what would be a good advertising experience that would be helpful and, be something that I would welcome and, that would give me positive associations with the brand, and what would be a bad one? And if you just work from there, it kind of writes itself. So I think that, to make it tie it to a superhero is, I don't think, that doesn't make me special, I hope, right? But I find that it's just very illuminating and very just it just really helps inform a product roadmap that just makes sense, because at the end of the day, you have multiple customers that are all equally important.
Wow. So knowing the customer, that's your superpower.
I guess so.
Charlotte, this was awesome. I love learning about what you guys are doing. I love how passionate you are. Thank you for joining our show.
No, of course.
I know the rest of the week is going to be glorious and glamorous. So
Yes.
take time to get in some air conditioning. It's pretty hot out here.
I know.
And hopefully we can get you back on the show in the future,
Yeah,
because we'd love
no.
to see how this is evolved.
I know. I mean, literally, I know we always, anytime you talk to an Amazonian, they're like, it's day one. But I mean, like, well, we literally launched a new product today. And truly, it is like we are just scratching the surface of what we can do in this space. And of course, as we grow these customer experiences, it is P0 that advertisers be able to participate in them too. It's just how it works. So
Sky's the limit.
yep.
Till next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Thank you so much.